My wife sat across from me, her eyes calm, almost cold. In my hands, a stack of proof of her affair. With one nod, I could destroy her life forever. My lawyer leaned in, whispering, "James, this is your victory. The house, the money, your name, it's all yours." I looked down at the photos, her head resting on another man's shoulder. That bright smile, a smile I hadn't seen in years. But what broke me wasn't the smile. It was the red coat she wore, the one I bought with a month's paycheck, the one she hugged me in, whispering, "I'll wear it on my happiest days." And now it showed up in her betrayal. My chest tightened. I thought I'd feel strong with this evidence, but all I felt was loss. Through the glass, I saw my son, Ethan, sitting in the hallway, clutching the little blue dinosaur I gave him last Christmas. He waved at me, smiling, not knowing his world was breaking. My hands shook. The lawyer pressed again. "We can end this today. Make her pay." I took a deep breath, and suddenly, I snapped the file shut. The click echoed through the room. Silence followed. I looked him straight in the eye. "No, I don't want revenge. I just want freedom." That moment, I chose a different path. No applause, no grand victory, but no more darkness either. I stood, walked out of the courtroom, empty-handed. No house, no money, no so-called triumph. But when my son ran into my arms, I realized, for the first time in years, I was holding on to myself. That day, I stopped being afraid of being left behind. I'm James, 41, an architect. My life is built on blank pages, sketches, and houses that rise from imagination. Every project I finish is a reminder. I can create a place someone calls home. But the irony is, my own home, the one I thought was strongest, turned out to be the most fragile. I grew up in a broken family. My parents divorced when I was 8. Most nights, I'd sit on the porch, waiting for my mom, only to hear the wind cutting through the fence. My dad sat inside, silent in front of the TV. The lights were on, but to me, that house felt dark. And from then on, I carried one fear. I never wanted to be left waiting again. And I swore my own child would never feel that way. 12 years ago, I met Sarah at an art gallery downtown. She stood alone, staring at a painting. The light made her eyes shine. We talked the whole evening, like we'd known each other forever. Sarah was a young interior designer. Her smile made you feel like you mattered. I loved that warmth. I loved how she made me feel less alone. The early days were simple, but happy. Pizza at night, old movies. Sarah resting her head on my shoulder while I rambled about design ideas. She used to tease me. "You talk about houses like they're your children." I'd laugh and say, "Then you must be my home." We both laughed, and I believed it. When Ethan was born, life felt complete. The first time I held him, I cried. I promised him, "You'll never sit alone waiting like I once did." That promise became my compass. We moved to a small house in the suburbs when Ethan turned 3. I built him a swing in the backyard. Every afternoon, we sat there, watching the sky change colors. Sarah got busier with work, meeting clients. I thought that was normal. I was even proud of her success. My days were simple. Up early, coffee for both of us, breakfast ready. Ethan loved pancakes, always with honey on his cheeks. Sarah usually grabbed her coffee and rushed out the door. I never complained. Just reminded her, drive safe. I believed marriage was about patience, that the more you yield, the stronger the family gets. At night, I tucked Ethan in, told him stories about a tiny architect, building castles from magic bricks. Whenever I paused, he tugged my sleeve, wide-eyed. "Dad, keep going. The castle isn't finished yet." I smiled, adding more bricks to the story, quietly wishing our family castle would last too. But then, cracks appeared. Sarah started coming home late. At first, I told myself, she's just busy. But busy turned into habit. I'd set the table for 3, snap a photo for her, then eat with Ethan. Hours later, cleaning up. Her dinner sat untouched in the fridge. I'd stand there, hand on the lid, feeling like a guest in my own house. One night, Ethan asked, "Dad, why doesn't Mom eat with us anymore?" I forced a smile. "She's busy, son. She'll be back tomorrow." But tomorrow, the table was still just the two of us. Watching him eat, my chest tightened. I realized I was lying to my child. The same lie I once hated my parents for. Sarah grew more distant. Some days, she looked at me like I was a stranger. I remember one rainy night. I waited until midnight. When she finally came in, rain dripping from her coat, she walked past me in silence. I wanted to ask, "Where were you?" But the words stuck in my throat. Because I was terrified of the answer. Friends used to joke, "James, you're always the one giving in, living in her shadow." I'd laugh it off, but inside it hurt. I knew they were right, but I didn't have the courage to change. As long as the family stayed together, I thought every sacrifice was worth it. Looking back now, I see I lied to myself. I built a castle out of fear, hoping it would shield me from being abandoned again. But the walls were hollow. One gust of wind, and it all collapsed. That night, I sat alone at the table. The chair across from me, empty. Sarah's untouched dinner, still cold in the fridge. Ethan asleep in his room, his soft breathing through the door. The kitchen light was on, but the house felt dark. And for the first time in years, I realized maybe I was the only one still trying to believe this family was whole. One night, Ethan sat beside me in the living room. He had just finished a drawing. A small house, 3 people standing together, dad, mom, and child. I looked at it, and my heart tightened. Sarah hadn't come home for dinner in 3 days. Ethan pointed at the woman in the red dress. "Dad, does Mom still wear that dress? She wore it on my birthday." I forced a smile, stroked his hair. "Yeah, she still has it. Maybe she'll wear it again next time." He blinked, eyes soft. "But Mom doesn't stay home anymore. She only comes back when I'm asleep. I miss her." I couldn't answer. My throat closed. I kissed his head and whispered, "She's just busy, son. She'll eat with us tomorrow." But deep inside, I knew it was a lie. That night, after putting him to bed, I heard laughter from the kitchen. I froze. It was late, too late for laughter. I walked down quietly. Sarah sat at the table, phone in hand. Her laugh, bright, carefree, a laugh I hadn't heard in years. But her eyes weren't for me. They belonged to someone on the other end of that call. I stood in the dark, watching like a stranger. I wanted to step forward, to ask, but my legs wouldn't move. So I turned away. Her laughter echoed behind me, cutting me open with every note. The days after, I noticed more. Her phone always within reach, even in the shower. The password changed. Messages that made her smile. Smiles that vanished the second I walked in. Once I wrapped my arms around her, like I used to. She pushed me away. "I'm tired," she muttered. One afternoon, she left her phone on the table. The screen lit up. A message read, "Miss you, love." My heart sank. My hand shook as I picked it up, thumb hovering over the lock. I wanted to see everything, to tear the truth wide open, but I dropped it. I couldn't, because I knew, once I saw it all, there would be no hope left. That night, I watched her sleep beside me. The same face that once felt like home. Now a mystery I couldn't breathe in. The next morning, I tried. I woke early, made her favorite coffee, with cinnamon and almond milk. When she sat down, I spoke gently. "You've been gone a lot lately, busy at night, not home with us. Is there something I can do to help?" She flinched, then turned cold. Slamming the cup down, she said, "Stop trying to control me. I need space. I have my own life. I don't owe you an explanation." Her words cut sharper than winter. She grabbed her coat, walked out, leaving her coffee still steaming on the table. That night, after Ethan slept, I tried once more. "I feel you drifting away. If something's wrong, tell me. I'll change, whatever it takes, just for us." Sarah looked at me with a faint smile, but her eyes stayed empty. "James, I need space. You suffocate me." Space. That word kept echoing in my head. I once swore I'd never be abandoned again. But now the woman I loved was leaving me, while still living under the same roof. Ethan became the mirror of truth. One afternoon, after school, he said, "Yesterday I heard Mom on the phone. She told someone she missed them. I thought she meant you, but you were home." I froze, forced a smile. "Maybe you misheard, son." But inside, I knew. If even a 7-year-old could see it, how could I keep pretending? I started noticing everything. The strange perfume on her clothes. Nights she claimed were business trips, while her calendar showed dinner reservations. I wanted to ask, to scream, but fear held me back, because the answer would end everything. One rainy night, I waited past midnight. When she came in, soaked in rain, I stood to ask, "Where were you?" But the words died in my throat. She walked past me without a glance. The bedroom door slammed shut. I sat in the chair, hollow inside, and a memory hit me. Years ago, Sarah laughed as I spilled pancake mix all over the kitchen, wiping it up, teasing me. "You're hopeless. But I love that about you." That laugh, I thought it was ours forever. Now it belonged to someone else. Then came the moment that broke me. That night, I walked into our room late. Sarah was asleep. The lamp cast a soft glow across the dresser. And there, her wedding ring lay still. The same ring I slipped onto her finger 12 years ago. The promise of forever. Now cold abandoned. I froze. I didn't know when she stopped wearing it. I only knew. Once the ring was gone from her hand, her heart was gone too. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at it for a long time. Outside, the rain tapped against the roof. Inside, the pain spread through my chest, crushing every beat of my heart. I understood then. I had already lost her. The cruelest part was, I lost her while she was still here. That night, I lay beside her. But between us, a distance nothing could cross. Her breathing steady, my eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling till morning. In the dark, I knew. This wasn't just a crack anymore. It was the beginning of a collapse that could never be undone. After the night, I saw her wedding ring left cold on the dresser. I knew I couldn't keep pretending. Sarah had already walked out of this marriage. But still, I held on. I thought if I endured enough, sacrificed enough, maybe she'd come back. I planned a special dinner. Shrimp pasta, rocket salad, a bottle of red wine we once shared on our anniversary. Candles lit. Ethan scribbled a card. I love you, Mom. When Sarah walked in, her eyes paused for a moment. I waited for a flicker, any spark of warmth. But she only said, "You don't have to do this. I'm not in the mood." She walked upstairs, leaving me and our son at the table, food turning cold. Ethan held up his card and whispered, "Maybe Mom's just busy." I took the card from his little hands. The candle still burned, and my heart burned too, then quietly went out. The days after, Sarah was almost gone. Out early, home late, sometimes gone for days. Calls unanswered, messages ignored. I was torn between worry and despair. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I drove across the city, searching. And then, at a crowded intersection, I saw her. Sarah stepped out of a restaurant with a man. She laughed, touched his shoulder lightly. That smile once mine. My hands gripped the wheel, heart racing. I wanted to run out, to scream, to ask why. But I just sat there, frozen, watching them disappear into the crowd. And I had never felt so cowardly. The next day, I tried to confront her. When she came home, a strange perfume lingered on her coat. I asked, my voice sharp, "Where were you last night?" She shrugged. "Work trip." I shouted, "Stop lying, Sarah. You think I don't know?" She turned, eyes cold as ice. Her words cut like a blade. "James, I've endured you long enough. I don't love you anymore. I want freedom. Do you understand? Freedom." I froze. On the stairs, Ethan stared down at us, frightened. My hands trembled. The glass in my grip shattered. Blood trickled down. Sarah walked past, indifferent, leaving me bleeding in silence. That night, I drove through the rain, screaming into the empty car. The sound bounced back at me, raw, hollow. But when my voice gave out, all I felt was exhaustion, loneliness. Ethan felt it too. One evening, as I tucked him in, he whispered, "Dad, I heard Mom on the phone. She said she's getting a new house. Am I going to live there too?" The question pierced me. I held him tight, tears spilling. I had no answer. The next morning, I tried one last time. "Sarah, we need therapy. I don't want this family to fall apart. For Ethan's sake, give me one chance." She looked at me, empty-eyed. "James, I don't want to fix this. If you want therapy, go alone. I won't be there." And she wasn't. I sat in that room by myself. The opposite chair, empty. I spoke about a marriage collapsing. My voice shook. Tears fell. The therapist listened, but nothing could fill the void. Then the tension broke. Sarah vanished for a week. No calls, no replies. I was unraveling. Ethan clung to me, asking, "Where's Mom? Did she leave us for real?" I held him, repeating the same tired lie. "She's just busy, son." But even I didn't believe it anymore. A week later, she walked back in, as if nothing happened. I blocked her at the door, voice raw. "Where have you been?" She answered flat. "I needed time for myself." I shouted. "Time for yourself? And what about your son? You left him behind for someone else." Sarah's face stayed cold. "James, enough. I don't love you. I don't need you. From now on, you take care of your part. I'll take care of mine." She went upstairs, leaving me and Ethan frozen at the bottom of the stairs. That night, I sat in the dark, blood still seeping from the cuts on my hand. Ethan walked over, clutching his little dinosaur. He held it out and whispered, "Dad, you can borrow him, so you won't be sad." I looked at my son, and I broke. Tears pouring, chest shaking. I had never felt like such a failure. A husband who lost his wife, and a father who needed comfort from his own child. In that moment, I knew everything had slipped beyond my grasp. The family I built with all my heart was shattering, piece by piece, and nothing could put it back together. The day of the trial, the sky was gray. A light drizzle fell. I sat in the courtroom. In front of me, a thick folder filled with the truth. Hotel bills, sweet texts, blurry photos. Each page cut into me like a blade. But they were also my only weapon to win. My lawyer leaned in, whispering fast, "James, just hand it over. She'll lose everything. The house, the money, custody, all of it." I gripped the folder tight, palms sweating. Across from me, Sarah sat upright, face calm as stone. Her eyes locked on mine, cold, unflinching. Memories flooded back. Her trembling hand on our wedding day. The radiant smile when she held Ethan for the first time. And the night she took off her ring, left it cold on the dresser. The judge's voice droned, listing clauses I couldn't hear. In my head, only one question echoed. What will I do, destroy her, or let go? Suddenly my lawyer rose. "Your Honor, my client has proof of infidelity." He held out his hand. I froze. The folder weighed heavy, like a stone in mine. I lifted it, ready to pass it. My heart pounded, throat tight. And then Sarah smirked. Her voice sharp as glass. "Go ahead, James. You've always been weak. At least today, you can finally win once." The room froze. Her words cut me in half. The woman who once was my everything, now turning me into a joke. For a second, I nearly let go. But through the glass wall, I saw Ethan, sitting in the hallway, clutching his little dinosaur, swinging his feet. He smiled at me, innocent, unbroken. And I knew, if I did this, I'd turn his mother into nothing but shame. That smile would vanish. I took a deep breath. Then suddenly, I slammed the folder shut. The clack echoed in the silence. "I won't submit the evidence," I said, my voice low but steady. My lawyer gasped. "Are you insane, James? This is your only chance." I turned to Sarah for the first time in months. "I don't need to beat you. I don't need the house or the money. I only want one thing, our son." For a moment, her eyes flickered. But then, cold again, she looked away. The judge leaned forward. "You're certain? You're giving up all assets? Only requesting custody?" I nodded. "Yes, my son is everything." The room fell silent, and in that silence, the weight lifted from my chest. I didn't know what I'd lose, but I knew what I had kept, myself. When the trial ended, I stepped outside. Ethan ran to me, throwing his arms around my waist. "Dad, let's go home." I lifted him, felt his warmth against me. Behind us, Sarah stood watching. Her eyes, part surprise, part regret, part anger. She whispered, sharp but small, "You think you're noble? You'll regret this." I gave a faint smile. Maybe. But at least today, my son won't regret his father. Sarah froze, then turned and walked away. My lawyer shook his head. "You gave it all up, James." I looked down at my empty hands, then at Ethan's little hand clutching mine. "No, I kept everything." On the way home, sunlight broke through the clouds. It gleamed across the windshield. Ethan, in the back seat, hugged his dinosaur and smiled. "Dad, today you were like a superhero. And superheroes don't need to beat anyone. They just protect the ones they love." I paused, then laughed through the tears. My son had spoken the truth it took me years to learn. That day, I walked out of court with empty hands, but holding my son's hand in the light. I knew I had everything, and for the first time in years, I wasn't afraid of being left behind. After the trial, I returned to our old house one last time. To pack. That house, once our dream, now echoed with empty footsteps. The walls still carried old photos. Our wedding day. Her bright smile. Ethan, learning to walk. I stood a long time before the wedding picture. My hand brushed the dusty glass, fingers trembling. Then I let go. I didn't take it. In the bedroom, I opened the closet, folding clothes into boxes. And there it was, the red dress. The one Sarah wore on Ethan's birthday. The memory flashed back. She held Ethan in her arms, helping him blow out the candles. I stood beside them, taking a picture. 3 people, 1 family. Now just fragments. I folded the dress, set it aside. I had no right to keep it. Ethan ran around, stuffing his dinosaur and a few books into his backpack. He grinned. "Dad, I packed everything. Our new house is going to be fun, right?" I forced a smile. "Yes, our new castle. Not big, but as long as we're in it, it's enough." We moved to a small apartment near downtown. No garden, no swing. Just a balcony overlooking crowded streets. At first, it felt cramped, messy. But we adjusted. That first night, I told Ethan the story of the little architect again. But I changed the ending. The little architect realized a castle doesn't need to be big. As long as someone's there with you, even the smallest place can be a castle. Ethan hugged his dinosaur, smiling. "Then ours is the best castle, Dad. You smile more here." I froze. His words cut through me. He had noticed. All this time, I carried a dark face. Only now, after letting go, was I truly smiling again. The first weeks were hard. Learning to be a full-time father. Early mornings, cooking breakfast, school drop-offs. Rushing to work. Coming home to cook, clean, help with homework. Some nights, I sat on the balcony, exhausted, asking myself, can I really do this? But that exhaustion felt real. No longer a shadow, clinging to broken love. I was alive. Tired, but living. One afternoon, Sarah came by. She stood at the door, hesitant. Ethan ran to her, arms wide, telling her all about school. I let them talk, then poured her a glass of water. When Ethan went to his room, we sat in silence. Finally, Sarah spoke. "James, I didn't expect you to hold back in court. I thought you'd crush me." I answered calmly. "I almost did." But then I looked at Ethan, and I realized if I destroyed you, he would carry the weight. She was quiet, then sighed. "I thought I found freedom, but most nights, I just feel empty." I lifted my eyes. Something flickered there, regret or maybe just weakness. But I didn't chase it. "I don't blame you anymore," I said softly. "We're no longer husband and wife, but we'll always be Ethan's parents. Let's at least be good at that." She nodded faintly, eyes red. No tears, no embrace. Just two people who once loved, now bound only by a child. And that was enough. After that, Sarah still visited. Took Ethan out. I didn't stop her. Didn't ask questions. I didn't need to know anymore. I had already let go. One night, as I tucked Ethan in, he whispered, "Dad, do you hate Mom?" I froze. Then pulled him close. "No, I don't hate her. I just don't love her anymore. But I'll always love you." He pressed his face into my chest, smiling. "I know. Because here, in our new house, you smile a lot." His words pierced me, and healed me at the same time. Tears slipped down. But for once, they were peaceful tears. Later that night, I stepped onto the balcony. From a distance, I could still see the old house. Lights on. Shadows moving behind the window. That was once my castle. Now it belonged to Sarah. And to memories already crumbled. I stood there a long time, then turned back inside. Ethan slept soundly, clutching his dinosaur. I sat beside him, holding his little hand tight. And in that warmth, I realized the real battle was never Sarah, never the world. It was me, the man who once feared being left behind. That night, for the first time in so long, I felt peace. The first night after court, I opened the drawer of a small wooden cabinet in our new apartment. Inside was the wedding ring box. I had carried it out of habit, though it meant nothing now. I opened it. The metal glinted faintly under the yellow lamp. For years, I believed that ring could hold a life together. But in the end, all it held were scars. I closed the box, set it deep in the drawer. Not forgotten, just closed. I stepped onto the balcony. The city lights flickered. Traffic thinned. A cool wind brushed past. I sat there, listening to the clock ticking in the living room. A new rhythm of life. Slow, honest. Inside, Ethan was asleep. I knelt beside his bed. He clutched his little dinosaur, face peaceful. I could hear his steady breathing, like a lullaby. Then, in his sleep, he whispered, "Dad, don't leave me." I froze. The words, innocent and unthinking, pierced me like a blade. I kissed his hair, whispering back, "I'll never leave you, no matter what." And I realized, love can betray, but a father's love cannot. Some nights, I still ask myself, what was all this pain for? And the answer comes, to learn to let go. I once thought letting go was failure. Now I know, letting go isn't losing. It's turning your back on the past, so you can walk into the present. I don't blame Sarah anymore. She chose her path. If one day she finds true happiness, I wish her well. because hate would only trap me longer. The greatest lesson I've learned is this: losing someone isn't as frightening as losing yourself. I once feared abandonment, feared loneliness, but what hurt most wasn't losing Sarah. It was losing my dignity, losing my smile, in front of my own son. Now, when I see Ethan laugh so freely, I know I've reclaimed what matters. I'm still the father he can trust. One evening, as I washed dishes, Ethan wrapped his arms around me and whispered, "Dad, our house may be small, but you're happier here, and so am I." I stopped. Tears dropped into the sink. That child, in his innocence, had taught me what I never understood. Happiness isn't in a big house. It's in the laughter inside it. Tonight, I sit again on the balcony. The city lights, the cold wind. But my hands aren't empty anymore. Ethan has fallen asleep beside me, his small hand wrapped around mine. I look at him, then at the glow of our old house in the distance. Once everything to me. It still shines, but I've turned my back. Before me is the present. Small, messy, real. And I whisper to myself, I'm no longer afraid of being left behind, because I've found myself again.